Caring for people, doing everything you can to protect the ones you love. It's a big part of being a parent, and it's a big part of Marvel's Spider-Man 2. I am a huge fan of Spider-Man, so I wanted to find out if the latest game is the kind of game that works well for busy parents. Welcome to Dad Does Game Guides, where we swing into our Steam backlog to find out which games are worth our limited time. Spider-Man 2 is quite a beefy game, with lots to see and explore. That being said, there's constant progression in both the main and side stories. If you just focus on the main story, you can probably finish the game in 20 to 25 hours. Both the main and side stories follow clear story beats, which makes investing time and effort into the world feel more worthwhile. The main quest also has natural stopping off points, and can be picked up again with relative ease, even if you take a few days break in between gaming sessions. The side content can also be done relatively quickly, because most of the quests take anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes to complete. For example, the Mysterio side quests take around 5 minutes, but there are quite a few scattered around the large map, so to complete all of them will take probably about an hour. Another example is the Flame side quests. It's 4 quests in total that follow on from each other, but each one takes 15 to 20 minutes each. Insomniac put a great feature before starting the game, the recap. It recaps the first Spider-Man game as well as the Miles Morales spin-off. The recap is worth a watch, because even if you played those games, it's nice to just refresh your memory of important characters and story beats that might come into play in this game. The story of Spider-Man 2 does take liberties with the Spider-Man lore that you may know and love. Adapting beloved characters is always going to be a big ask, but as a hardcore Spider-Man fan myself, I still enjoyed the game, and I found that the spirit of the source material was still there in the adaptation. The main story is essentially split into 2 parts. The first part deals with Kraven and supervillains being hunted, and the second part deals with the fallout of using the symbiote to succeed by any means necessary. At the start of the game, we see an attack from Sandman, who seems to have gone a bit crazy. We very quickly discover that Sandman was being hunted by none other than Kraven and his team of hunters. This sets up the first part of the story, where Kraven hunts and kidnaps other supervillains from Spider-Man's rogue gallery. Kraven is looking for a worthy opponent to take him down in an epic last hunt. To add to this, Martin Lee, aka Mr. Negative, is one of the victims. While Miles struggles with his feelings towards the man who is responsible for his father's death, Peter needs to deal with the return of his best friend Harry. Harry has been cured of the life-threatening disease that claimed his mother's life. He wants to heal the world, and he wants Peter to join him. Whilst Peter, MJ and Harry are reconnecting, they're confronted by the Hunters, who are trying to kidnap Lonnie Lincoln, aka Tombstone. It's at this confrontation that Harry realizes he has the black symbiote. Many fans will recognize this as the Venom symbiote. At first, both Peter and Harry seem very impressed with the suit's capabilities. In another confrontation with Kraven, Peter is mortally wounded. The suit bonds with Peter to save his life. I won't get into too many spoilers, but because the symbiote doesn't want to go back to Harry, it forces Peter to seek out Dr. Connors to help save Harry's life. Unfortunately for our heroes, Kraven's turned Connors into his alter ego, the Lizard. These boss fights and confrontations are quite fun, but it really amplifies the emotions that Peter's been feeling up until this point. And without meaning to, Spider-Man starts to push his friends away in his quest to bring Kraven to justice. Miles helps free Peter from the symbiote's control, which forces the symbiote to re-bond with Harry and become a fully realized Venom. Venom begins corrupting citizens of New York in a quest to conquer the world. The symbiote has convinced Harry that this is how they'll heal the world. It doesn't help that they are now inseparable. That's a very quick overview of the story, and I'll leave it there for you to discover the rest. But that doesn't mean we're out of story. Spider-Man 2 is filled with lots of side quests. Miles side quests have a lot of fun moments, and they're good grounding for the game. With Miles we do things like help fellow students and retrieve Prowler tech. Peter's side quests involve investigating a cult that burns people, and he teams up with a fan favorite, Wraith, who featured in previous games. There's also lots of once-off story quests, which feels like a good break from the intensity of the main story. The gameplay mechanics is really where Marvel Spider-Man 2 shines. If you played the first game, or the Miles Morales spin-off, you'll understand the basics, but this game really improves upon the formula whilst not overcomplicating it. The most famous aspect of the gameplay is the swinging, and that part feels great. I run a moderately powerful PC, and for the most part I had no problem with loading the map while swinging or gliding around. On the combat side, well, let's first start with skill points. We achieve skill points by leveling up, which can be used to add to combat or traversal abilities. We can also get upgrades for our web shooters by collecting tech tokens, city tokens, or hero tokens. These can be achieved through the side missions and any encounters in the world. This means that there's lots of different options when you approach combat, which makes each encounter unique. To add to this uniqueness, there's tons of enemy types, so each encounter requires some adjusting to your gameplay. Miles and Peter play pretty similar, but they each have unique elements to them, which means switching between the different Spider-Men still feels unique and different. What's really a standout is that the mechanics are straightforward and not overly complicated. Generally you'll right click and then you'll click on another button, like F or spacebar. This activates the special ability that you need to do. Even during cinematic moments, everything is built upon previously and becomes second nature quite early on in the game. For example, there's moments when you've been dragged by a car and it requires you to input certain button prompts in order to complete the car chase. Later on, when you're chasing a lizard, you've been pulled up the building and similar button prompts will come up. Even though it's a bit more intense, the foundation and the basics remain the same. As a side note, one of the major cinematic fights is when you actually get to play as Venom. This is a lot of fun, and it sets him up as quite an imposing force when you do face him later on in the game. I find that Marvel Spider-Man 2 is very suitable for a busy parent. Most AAA games have huge open worlds with lots of unrelated side content and main quests that tend to be overly drawn out. I found that the quest design were really well done overall. To do everything, the main story, side content, I'd imagine that this game would take anywhere between 25 and 45 hours, and you can stop off whenever you feel that you have completed your share of the game. This makes it very good value for money, especially if you can pick it up on a Steam sale. Even though this is a Spider-Man and superhero franchise, some of the designs can be quite scary for kids. I'd suggest not showing the game to younger kids, which means if you do have kids that are under 10, you'll probably be playing this game during bedtimes and nap times. If you're a hardcore Spider-Man fan, then you might not appreciate some of the liberties that does get taken with the classic Spider-Man lore, such as excluding Eddie Brock as Venom. I'm just as big a fan of the classic Spider-Man symbiote storyline, but Insomniac have adapted the spirit of the characters perfectly, and to me that's far more important. And in classic Spider-Man and Insomniac storytelling, this is extremely relatable, especially to those of us who are parents. Who of us doesn't understand what it's like to want to protect the ones we love with every fiber of our being? I found the story intense and emotional, and I was invested in it almost every part of the way, from start to finish. I had lots of fun playing Spider-Man 2. Even the simple act of swinging and stopping random crimes was enjoyable. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Have you played Marvel Spider-Man 2? What advice do you have for anyone wanting to play the game? Or what's holding you back from booting it up? Comment down below. Next time, we'll play as a nobody in Nobody Saves the World.
Thanks for the assist. Just trying to keep up with you.